I think that can be explained to the business community. These people understand that they're the third most essential plank: infrastructure, housing and employment. And they are that plank that provides that employment. So they are critical to our communities, but they're also reasonable, fair-minded citizens. So I will be supporting the recommendations as they are, sir.
Oh, okay. Right. Now, Councillor Cam, you're indicating something about
I put up an amendment to business differential option, just as Councillor Quacks would say, for the sake of debate. Is it there? Well, anyway, I'm happy to talk to it until it comes up and have a vote. I hear what Councillor Cashmore is saying. My business differential proposal was that instead of stretching out the target of reducing the business differential from 2025-26, as was publicly consulted on, to now 2036-37, to save approximately $5 million, I think was the number that our officials gave us, or 0.5% on residential rates. And here's the old chestnut, Mr Mayor. The $5 million be found within the organisation's existing operational budget of more than $3 billion. There's not many chocolate biscuits to find that. And so, again, there was overwhelming people saying we do not support reducing the business property rates from 32% to 25%. But what they didn't understand was that we're on a track to reach 25% in 2022-23, and we've actually been kinder to residents because we've now pushed it out to 25-26. And so the question that we posed to the public was very blunt over should businesses pay less, and the human nature again would say no, and that's what they did. But what we've actually done in our draft is stretched it out to help residents from 2022-23 to 2025-26. The proposition now, Mr Mayor, and again I note it will be your 80th birthday, is to take it out, and Dovey was 80 when he was mayor too, to take it out to 2036, 37. And I'm saying this is a program that goes back, from an Auckland City perspective, goes back from the Fletcher administration, and it was a 10-year program. We're now staring down the barrel of a 37-year narrowing program, and I hear what Councillor Bill Cashmore says, that they had a win yesterday with the flat $159 transport targeted rate. But there is the opportunity, as we also resolved yesterday, for us, every annual plan, to look at the business, staggering the business amount per capital value, per property valuation from year to year, as is our right at annual plan. So that could change next year, Councillor Cashmore, or the following year. This is a significant policy decision that won't be able to be changed until the next 2018 LTP. And so what I'm saying is we've pulled it back in. We pushed it out to 2025-26. I think we found the sweet spot there. We've slowed down the track. We've been a bit kinder on residents in that regard. It's basically transferring $5 million a year by stretching it out to 2036-37, $5 million onto the business community. And if you're starting to look at some of the business confidence surveys and that, I don't think they'll appreciate that signal being sent to them. And for the sake of 0.5% on residential rates, I think we can find that money from within the organisation. As I said, it's a very, very small percentage, less than a singular percentage of our $3 billion operational budget. So my proposal there is to find it within. Don't sock the business community $5 million this financial year.
That's a very good speech. Do we have a seconder? Councillor Chris has seconded it. Okay. I have a similar response to that proposal to the one that I had yesterday about just sending the CEO off to find some more savings somewhere where we spent 18 months trying to take money out of the budget and everyone put money back in the budget. So I don't really have much sympathy for that. Now, I just want to follow up on a couple of things that Bill said, and you know, I've sort of had various discussions with some of the business leaders just to get a sense of their general feel. And I think they understand that the revaluations has really changed the field and that this needs to be a slower program. So I think on the basis that we do move, they will have some degree of comfort with that. And, you know, the transport levy, I think, also addresses that to some extent. So, look, you know, I think it's Councillor Linda.
Thank you. I will support this. We've been told by the CEO that we could reduce the number of meetings we have and the number of committees we have quite significantly. I mean, we've been quoted things $20,000 an hour with all of our staff sitting here waiting around. You know, we could actually cut that budget quite considerably, and we were told overwhelmingly in the long-term plan that people wanted us to reduce spending and governance. And I think we could do that. We could reduce that amount of money to support a shorter transition time.
Okay. Well, if we could, it would be great to put that money somewhere else. At least 4 committees we could get rid of.
Sorry, question. Is the
Double and
proposal to
triple
take
We're
the 5
talking
million
about
from the
taking
governance
5
budget?
million. Hang on.
From the governance budget now?
I don't know, Chris.
No, it's for the chief executive to determine.
Chief
I don't want to
executive.
micromanage that.
Yeah, he can work it out.
To big business, very generous.
It's the Father Christmas
Wouldn't want to
clause.
micromanage.
I want $5 million out of the budget. I don't know where, but just take it after we have spent 18 months desperately trying to take money out of the budget.
30 million is 1%.
And so
5
hang
million.
on. I'm just talking about what it is. And I'll give an example of the importance of, if you're going to make a change, you understand what the consequences of it are, and you drive it yourself. And you know, so I couldn't come in at a 3.5 halfway through this process because I couldn't justify it to myself. I wasn't sure how I was actually going to do it, but I felt that we could, and we'd spend a lot of time, and the time we had, to arrive at a point that was justifiable and sustainable. Now, obviously, I worked pretty closely with Steve and my team and Teresa to achieve that end, and the market helped us considerably. But to just send the CEO off on a wild goose chase,
It's not a wild
no, look, that's my opinion. And you know, I'm all for giving the CEO plenty of work to do. But I'm also mindful of the fact that we have a responsibility around here, and the responsibility is, if you're going to move deletions or additions, you got to have a pretty good idea of what the consequences of that are and what your contribution to it are going to be. And so, look, I'm completely supportive of a differential that changes over time. Gotcha, Ross. But I'm also mindful of the fact we're trying to just get this balance right. And so, you know, we're at the back end of this budget. I've got about 12 separate amendments wanting to put money back into this budget, including yours. So, you know, let's just try and keep focused on the big end game here, because if there's any money left at the end of the day here, I'm actually wanting to get it back in the community. Pertinent to your requests around this table. Now, you want to take $5 million further out of this budget, I'm not going to be interested at all in having anything at the end of this discussion about anyone else's projects that they want to do. Councillor Ross.
I honestly don't really know what a lot of councillors, who I should say, they consulted of their residents. I don't know. I mean, people got socked really badly yesterday, and the poor got socked really badly yesterday, and it's actually true. So we've got 3 levers. We've just had a go at the UAGC by some. Let's yank that lever up. Then we've got the differential. Let's yank that up in order to move more to the residents. I can't wait till we get to the 2.5% rate rise discussion. I bet there's amendments to make it 0, just so we can really sock it to people. Business did exceptionally well yesterday, exceptionally well. By having a flat targeted rate for them, they did exceptionally well. We chose not to base it on capital value. So big business did exceptionally well compared to small business. I don't know, guys. I mean, where do you want to keep going? How far do you want to go?
Okay, it's a rhetorical. Councillor Cam, I think we've probably had enough of discussion. Look, we'll move.
By division, thank you.
Of course.
There isn't a second.
Yes,
Councillor Fletcher.
yes, there is Councillor Chris.
The
F.
architect of all this.
The architect. Very good. Moved and seconded.
Your Worship,
No.
Councillor Nye. No. Councillor Brewer,
For.
Councillor Casey,
Oh,
Councillor Cashmore,
No.
Councillor Clow,
No.
Councillor Cooper,
for.
Councillor Darby,
Against?
Councillor Filipaina,
Against.
Councillor Fletcher,
For.
Deputy Mayor Hulse,
No.
Councillor Crum,
For.
Councillor Lee,
No.
Councillor Penrose,
No.
Councillor Quacks,
Yes.
Councillor Stewart,
Yes.
Member Taipari,
No.
Member Namine,
No.
Councillor John Walker,
No.
Councillor Wayne Walker,
No.
Councillor Watson,
No.
Councillor Webster,
No.
Councillor Wood,
Yes.
We now have the money for the Meadowbank Community Centre.
Yeah, phew. Got a few. Blackmail didn't work.
Blackmail worked.
716. Thank you.
Okay, 16-7. Right, now, actually, in amongst our enthusiasm with the UAGC debate, I actually forgot to put the substantive motion. So we better put that, I'll just put it on the voices, I mean, we had this yes and no. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
No.
No.
Division.
Please record.
Division.
Okay, this is on the 385.
Yeah.
Another one.
What are we on?
385.
The other stuff's lost, so.
Yeah, I know it was, but we have to put the substantive.
And no, I'm not saying that I'm saying about that.
For the record, it should have been a division then.
Yes, and
It
we're just going to do that.
We're going to do division first.
We're
Yes,
voting on what
yes,
three?
A, it's A, we just finally confirming the UAGC, Councillor Mike.
Confirming it.
Yes.
It's
Your Worship,
Yes.
Councillor Nye,
No.
This is the UAGC, sorry.
Oh, debate's underway. We can't
Sorry.
change our minds. Point of order, we can't change our minds.
Apologies, I was just disposing something else. Yes.
Wakey.
Now I'm confused.
Councillor Nye,
Yes.
is it?
I'm confused.
Councillor Brewer,
No.
Councillor
Okay,
Casey,
9.
Yes.
Has to be.
Councillor Cashmore,
Yes.
Councillor Clow,
Yes.
Councillor Cooper,
Yes.
Councillor Darby,
For.
Councillor Filipaina,
Aye.
Councillor Fletcher,
No.
Deputy Mayor Hulse,
Right.
Councillor Crum,
Against.
Councillor Lee,
Aye.
That was an aye.
Aye.
Councillor Penrose,
Yes.
Councillor Quacks,
No.
Councillor Stewart,
No.
Member Taipari,
For.
Member Namine,
Yes.
Councillor Sir John Walker,
Yes.
Councillor Wayne Walker,
Yes.
Councillor Watson,
Yes.
Councillor Webster,
Yes.
Councillor Wood.
No.
Okay, 76, thank you, councillors. Right, now we go on to item C. Franklin,
We done.
we remember we're in 9C now, so we've done the A and B, we're in C. This,
We didn't do B. We didn't do B.
oh, don't tell me
The
that.
substantive motion.
Someone get me a coffee, please. Okay, we'll do B, the substantive. All right, so as it was,
That's
okay.
includes business differential.
Yes, absolutely. So, sorry about this, guys. B, the differential. This is a substantive motion, the one that's on the paper. It's moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Bill.
Division.
Right.
Thank you.
Your Worship,
Yes.
Councillor Nye,
Aye.
Brewer,
No.
Councillor Casey,
Yes.
Councillor Cashmore,
Yes.
Don't like it.
Councillor Clow,
Yes.
Councillor Cooper,
No.
Councillor Darby,
For.
Councillor Philippine,
Aye.
Councillor Petcher,
No.
Deputy Mayor Hulse,
Aye.
Councillor Crum,
Against.
Councillor Lee,
No.
Councillor Penrose,
Yes.
Councillor Quacks,
No.
Councillor Stewart,
No.
Member Taipari,
For.
Member Namanek,
Yes.
Councillor Sir John Walker,
CBD.
Councillor Wayne Walker,
Yes.
Councillor Watson,
Yes.
Councillor Webster,
Yes.
Councillor Wood.
No.
I don't like it.
No, I don't like it either, so. It doesn't make any difference.
The problem is that nobody
You know,
voted
thank
for
you.
any of it.
Okay, councillors, move on to C.
So move.
Is she?
She's on D. Oh, on D, yeah.
Right, okay. Okay, so we've got a C, first, do you want to second it?
Yeah.
Second it. Is there any discussion on this? No, move it. All those in favour say aye.
Aye.
It's passed. D, we've got something here.
Amendment.
I see that.
And that second is councillor Fletcher.
All right, okay. Right.
So this is an obvious response to what has taken place yesterday. I was thinking about using the words, this is the least that we can do, and I will use the words, this is the least that we can do. So given that there is tremendous pressure faced by not just certain demographics that you would associate with higher capital values, this is across the board many demographics facing pressure as a result of yesterday, and this will not be any silver bullet for everyone concerned and the impact of rates on ratepayers here in Auckland, but it will help that the very top end. So I'll just remind colleagues that when we traversed this topic back in November in Budget Committee, this particular vote, we had 4 options in terms of rates transition, and this particular option lost by a very close vote, 8-9. So just by 1 vote, this option was lost when we voted back in Budget Committee, and we ended up with the no rates transition option that we have currently tabled. So I'm asking for this to come back, especially in light of budgetary implications to ratepayers from yesterday. It's not just local boards with the highest CVs, it's not just the average rate rises, it's specifically those who'll be paying over 20%. We've added this $99 transport targeted rate levy, whatever the terminology is. I'm just now going to run through some figures under what we were told back in November under the 3.5% proposal. I realise we're looking now to 2.5, but there is no figures that I have in regards reworked figures for the 2.5, so I'm just going to tell you some figures under the 3.5, so keep that in mind. The average dollar increase for this particular group, the above 20%ers, as we'll call them, is $1,377, $1,377 increase on their rates bills. So that's the dollar increase for the above 20%ers. Those who are facing, the local board areas who are facing the most impact, over 40% rate rises, Upper Harbour, Kaipariki, Devonport, Takapuna, just the top 3. Those in the 30 to 40% bracket, Albert Eden, Waitemata, and again, Devonport, Takapuna. Under the 3.5% scheme, so again, back to those November figures that we were given, around 40,000 ratepayers would be helped by this particular 20% cap. 40,000 ratepayers. So to fund this option, there will of course need to be a small increase in rates. Back in November it was pitched as 0.6%, and I've talked with Aaron and Andrew yesterday, and depending on what we would have done with the targeted levy and with the business differential, we'll be able to price that up. We didn't have the figures and couldn't say for now, but back in November, it would have been a 0.6% impact, the lowest of all our rates transition options. Well, unless we wrote to the government and went for that 10% cap. So I'm going to very strongly suggest that, again, this is the least that we can do for those facing the most impact. We have to try and do something. And I'll just end on a quote from that report back in November. This policy can be implemented without any major impediments or administrative costs.
That's very good.
Well said.
Very good.
Can we get some figures? We've even got really hard to make a decision on this
Brilliant.
I raise a question. Please.
Yeah, Councillor Clow.
Some figures.
Yeah, yep. Yeah,
I think we need to.
yeah. Look, we did have a fairly significant discussion on this at that time, and there wasn't a lot coming back from the community about this. Probably in some communities 1 or 2 comments, but not a lot. So I take that as the first guide. But Andrew, what do you think? Just reprise us in the discussion relating to this issue.
So the council looked at 3 options. Can't do the cap because it requires legislation.
Yep.
A 10% cap would be very expensive. I think it added over 3% to the underlying rates increase.
Yeah.
In the analysis of the LTP proposal, which had the average residential rates increase at 5.6% when you include the business effect and the farm lifestyle valuation issue, a cap on rates increases at 20% just for 15-16 was going to add 0.6% to everyone else's rates. Yep. How that would translate exactly into the new underlying rates proposal on which you've just voted can't be exact. Perhaps a little bit less than 0.6. There have been other movements in our underlying data and we haven't modelled this, but it would still have, you'd still push up the underlying rates increase for everybody else as well if you were to fund the cap on those who've gone over 20%.
Yeah.
Probably still be in that ballpark, around 0.5, 0.6.
Okay. And so what would be the, so we've got a cap at one end. What happens at the other end?
We've got around, what would happen if we did a cap is that you'd be pulling everyone else's rates increases up a bit. Yeah. So while we've got around, under the original proposal, we've got about 30,000 ratepayers with increases over 20%. You've also got 10,000 who are due a decrease of under 20%. Of course,
Yeah.
they'd still get that with the cap.
And why are
but
they
it's pulled
due
up a
that?
bit.
What gives them the right to get that?
What's going on with these increases and decreases is that those who are going up by 20% are moving to a level of rates equivalent to somebody else with a similar value property
But why
elsewhere
is
in the
that
city.
happening?
Because we're charging everyone the same rates for the same value property across the city.
What's driving them to that level?
Revaluations, final transition.
Right, so the value of their property has gone from a certain level to a much higher level. Is that right?
Want them all to sell up
Hang
and
on.
move out.
Just listen. This is the black and white of it. This is the black and white. This is as close as we can get in a rating system to a progressive system. This is the issue here. This is the challenge. And we're stuck with this, and we are always gonna Mickey duck around the edges by trying to do transitions and new AGCs and everything. The problem is, the system is, you have a higher value property, which means you have a higher value asset, you pay at that rate. And if you don't, then everyone else who's got a lower value or property increasing at a lower rate subsidises those.